I would like to call to order Morton Grove Public Library Board of Trustees special meeting on April 2, 2012 at 6 p.m. If we could stand, like to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Secretary Burke, can you call the roll?
I shall. Mr. Albers?
Here.
Trustee Berg? Here. Trustee Callaway?
Here.
Trustee Goldstein? Absent. Trustee Hoffman?
Here.
Trustee Peters?
Here.
And Trustee Quinn? Thank you.
Do we have quorum? Yes.
We have 5.
Tonight, we are going to be holding a hearing to determine whether a vacancy exists on the Library Board of Trustees due to the non-residency of Trustee Quinn. I was contacted multiple times by residents who were questioning her legal residence. So the first inquiry I kind of took with a grain of salt. The second prompted me to consult with counsel, and I asked Frank Tennant if he would investigate the situation. So with that said, I'm going to let Frank take the meeting over and report out on the results of his investigation.
Thank you. President Albers forwarded to me an email received from a resident of the village of Morton Grove. That email indicated that this resident had seen that a Krista Quinn purchased a home at 7367 Keller Road in Cincinnati, Ohio. And the email from the resident also went on to state that the resident checked to determine whether she was a registered voter, and that the information from the county clerk's office determined that, or said that she was registered to vote in Ohio. So President Albers indicated to me that he had looked up the same information on the internet himself and determined that it was true, and requested that I conduct an investigation to determine whether this information was reliable and whether it impacted on the qualifications of Trustee Quinn to hold office as trustee of the Morton Grove Public Library. First of all, I'd like to put into the record as Exhibit 1 the notice of meeting for today's meeting, which was posted. Secondly, I'd like to put into the record as Exhibit 2 the agenda for today's meeting, which was posted, both of which were posted in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. It's important that a trustee holding office, such as the trustee of the library, be qualified to serve, so that votes that are taken by this public body are not subject to question in the event that an individual was not qualified to serve. The question would be whether or not a vote or action that was taken was in fact proper action by the board. The Illinois Local Library Act indicates that a trustee must be a resident in order to serve, in order to be elected to the office. The Morton Grove Public Library has bylaws, and bylaw Article 2, Section 1 states that each trustee shall be a legal resident and a registered voter of the village of Morton Grove. I'd like to enter into the record as Exhibit 3 a copy of the bylaws of the Morton Grove Public Library. So following the receipt of the information from President Albers, I did determine from the same information on the websites that there was a purchase of the real estate at 7367 Keller Road in Cincinnati, Ohio by Krista A. Quinn and Peter C. Quinn. I also determined that the Krista A. Quinn was registered to vote in Cincinnati, Ohio. I had, I'm going to pass out what I've marked as Exhibit 4 to be entered into the record. Mary Catherine Ludwig is an attorney that's in my office, and I requested that she investigate with the Hamilton County, Ohio Board of Elections. Exhibit 4, which we're entering into the record, is an affidavit from Mary Catherine Ludwig, which states, being first duly sworn on her oath, states that if called to testify, she would state from her own personal knowledge as follows. 1, I am an attorney licensed in the state of Illinois. 2, I am employed as an attorney at Wolf & Tennant. 3, on March 20, 2012, I contacted the Hamilton County, Ohio Board of Elections via telephone. 4, I spoke with Diane Goldsmith, administrator of the registration department. 5, I provided the following information to the employee regarding Krista A. Quinn, home address 7367 Keller Road, Cincinnati, Ohio, zip 45243. 6, after providing the above information, Ms. Goldsmith informed me verbally that Krista A. Quinn is currently registered to vote in Hamilton County. 7, I provided Ms. Goldsmith with the fax number for Wolf & Tennant. 8, I received a fax from Ms. Goldsmith which indicated Krista A. Quinn's voter registration in Hamilton County is active. 9, a true and correct copy of the information received from Ms. Goldsmith is attached here too. Further, your affiant says not, signed by Mary Catherine Ludwig and further certified under penalty of perjury as provided in section 1-109 of the Code of Civil Procedure. Attached to the affidavit is a fax transmittal form from the Hamilton County Board of Elections Registration Department from Diane Goldsmith, administrator. Number of pages transmitted are 3. First is the cover page. Second is a printout for a Krista Ann Quinn, status A, active, address 7367 Keller Road, Cincinnati, Ohio. Register date is January 10, 2012. Date of birth of the individual is April 24, 1971. The third item is a copy of the actual voter registration card or application with a signature. In addition, I had Mary Catherine Ludwig contact the Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles. Exhibit 5 to be entered into the record is an affidavit from Mary Catherine Ludwig, being first duly sworn on her oath, states that if called to testify, she would state from her own personal knowledge as follows. 1, I am an attorney licensed in the state of Illinois. 2, I am employed as an attorney at Wolf & Tennant. 3, on March 20, 2012, I contacted the Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles via telephone. 4, I spoke with an employee in the driver's license section. 5, I provided the following information to the employee regarding Krista A. Quinn. Date of birth, April 24, 1971. Home address, 7367 Keller Road, Cincinnati, Ohio. Zip 45243. 6, after providing the above information, the employee reported to me verbally that Krista A. Quinn does have a current and active driver's license in the state of Ohio. Further reference says not, signed by Mary Catherine Ludwig and further certified pursuant to section 1-109 of the Illinois Code of Civil Procedure. And that is Exhibit 5 entered into the record. Next, President Albers indicated to me that he had searched the Cook County clerk's voter registration and does not find Krista A. Quinn registered to vote at the address which she has given to the library as her residence address in the village of Morton Grove. Ms. Quinn is not present to provide us with any further information. Based upon the information that we were able to determine, it was my legal opinion that Trustee Quinn was not qualified to hold office as a trustee of the Morton Grove Public Library for the reason that she was not a resident or registered voter of the village of Morton Grove. Residence in the context of an elected office means a permanent abode. Permanent abode means physical presence and intent to remain there as a permanent abode. Evidence of whether or not an individual is a resident under these terms are, first of all, whether or not they have a driver's license. Here it appears that Ms. Quinn has a driver's license in the state of Ohio. Secondly, voter registration is an intent of whether or not you are a resident of a particular locality. Here, the evidence is that Ms. Quinn is a voter of the state of Ohio. So, those are my findings, Mr. President.
Any discussion amongst the board?
When you searched the Cook County records, you looked for the address she had given the library. Was there Krista Quinn registered at another address?
There's a Krista Quinn registered at Ms. Quinn's former residence, but that registration would not be effective because she does not live at her former residence. That's the residence that she sold in November, I believe. You can't.
From my understanding, they sold the house. She has an apartment here and she resides. Without asking her.
I mean, she's not here to answer that question, but that's correct, Trustee Hoffman. She provided the library with an address for an apartment that she lives in and that she said she lives in Morton Grove. She's not registered to vote out of that address. And the registration in Ohio was January 10th of 2012. Just to make sure. Yes, January 10th, 2012.
Excuse me. Does this mean that she was not qualified to hold trustee of Morton Grove Public Library since, or effective January 10th?
I would say the date on which she became disqualified would be the date on which she evidenced intent to be a resident of another village or another town. I did check the votes that were taken since that time period, though, and none of the votes would be in jeopardy as they were all passed either unanimously or one or two with only one nay vote. So it wouldn't affect any of the past action by the Morton Grove Public Library.
That's good. But, so I'm understanding we have a trustee with an out-of-state driver's license, out-of-state residence, and out-of-state voter registration.
Right.
I have a question. Is it possible to be registered to vote in two localities at once?
taking, that's, yeah, we're not fielding questions. So, I have no further comments or questions. David, anything?
Let's recall when she last attended the board meeting, and she spoke at some point during the meeting that she was still resident. Was that not right?
That's what she said.
had
She said it
indicated that to
twice.
me.
Once, it happened actually twice, once 2 board meetings ago, and then she wanted to correct the minutes from that meeting, saying that she did still live in Morton Grove, because she was directly questioned by a resident whether or not she lived in Morton Grove. That would have been in the February meeting.
January 12th, 2012 is when I got the first question fielded to me, questioning her residency. It's the second question that triggered this meeting.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it appears that she lives in Morton Grove.
No.
But I'm just saying, she resides in Morton Grove, but it is not her, what would you call it, permanent residence, is where you make your primary residence, where your voting registration.
Well, she lives in Ohio. Her family, she has 2 young children. She lives in Ohio. Her family closed on the house in January, and they moved to Ohio.
And she just commuted back for the meetings?
She has a son that still goes to
Yeah, we
school
don't.
here.
And where does he live?
We don't know. He attends Mass West.
Okay.
do you have any comments, Trustee Hoffman?
And she does not have an apartment in town?
Well, I think
So,
I think she-
there is
She might
there is an
exactly
ad,
go with-
there is an
there's an
address list. She provided the library with an address to which to send mail. That's all I know.
No, because I went through a portion of that. There's a delineation as to what your legal residence is, no matter where.
So based on what I've heard, would I have a motion to take some action on this?
I move that the board find that trustee Quinn is not qualified to hold the office of trustee of the Morton Grove Public Library for the reason that she is not a resident and registered voter of the Village of Morton Grove, and to declare that a vacancy exists on the Board of Trustees due to the non-residency of trustee Quinn.
I second the motion.
Motion by Peters, second by Kelnick. Are there any questions, comments?
Yeah, one more question. I'll ask the question. Is it possible to be registered in 2 places on a voter registration?
No. You can only have one registration. And what happens is when you move from one place to another, you change your registration to your new house. For example, if you move to a new house in Morton Grove, you change your registration to a new house in Morton Grove. And the timing on this is particularly important because there was an election, a primary election, so Ms. Quinn could have changed her registration from the one residence in Morton Grove to the other residence that she gave to the library, but she did not do that. In fact, to the contrary, in January 2012, she appears to have actively registered in the state of Ohio.
Any other questions or comments?
So legally speaking, when she registered in Ohio on January the 10th, 2012, she was no longer a resident of Morton Grove.
In the context of residency as it means to hold an elected office or to vote, that's correct. You can live in 2 different places, but only one place can be your permanent abode. So the issue is whether or not an individual who had a permanent abode, say for example in Morton Grove, has abandoned that permanent abode and in favor of another permanent abode. And the and that's the issue that you're really deciding, is whether the person is a non-resident because they've abandoned Morton Grove, as their place of residency. And of course, it's twofold test with respect to the bylaws, because the bylaws require that the individual be a registered voter in the village of Morton Grove. So you abandon your permanent abode by, taking on another residence that is your permanent, by getting a driver's license, by registering to vote, by paying real estate property taxes in that new place. That's how you.
Did anyone try to contact her through any of this investigation?
We asked her where she was living. She stated right here. where
During
she
this
was living.
investigation or at the board meeting?
I did not contact her.
So a motion by trustee Peters, second by trustee Calamack. Secretary Byrd, would you
I'll take a roll call vote. Trustee Berg, yes. Trustee Kellemack?
Yes.
Trustee Goldstein is absent. Trustee Hoffman?
Yes.
Trustee Peters?
Yes.
And trustee Quinn is absent. And Mr. Elmers?
Yes.
We have
So motion
a
passed.
motion passes 5-0.
I would like the directors to put packets out and advertise that we've got a space available on our board, and that we'll be looking for people to fill that spot.
I think it's already out over there.
Oh, great.
So we're on the website.
That's all I would need. We don't need to notify. We're done. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'd like the motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
No objections? We are adjourned. Thank you.